The first step is essentially starting with designing the interaction that you want to take place on the platform. Now, very often you wouldn't necessarily start with the interaction, you wouldn't even think of the platform. You would take a particular user and you would try to think of the pain point that you need to solve for that user. When you think of the pain point that needs to be solved for that user, you'll eventually start seeing that there are multiple other people involved in currently solving the pain point for that particular user. And then you're going to look at why the way they are currently solving that pain point is not right. So if you think of the patient as an example, you can think of the doctor as contributing to his treatment, the patient's relatives, somebody who's regularly sending them get well messages as another contributor. They're different nouns interacting with different verbs with the patient. You want to figure out at least one of these which is broken right now, which can be improved. Once you figure that out, you want to lay out a new interaction between these two players towards solving the patient's pain point. Now that you solve the patient's pain point, you solve the consumer's pain, for example, you want to go and see what's happening on the producer's side. How have things changed for the producer? Is the producer still interested in participating in this interaction, or would he rather go back to his previous interaction? Because both of them need to be part of this. And once you've created the right hooks, the right incentives for both of them to be aligned into this interaction, that's when you take the first step of testing out your assumptions on each side. It could be what's important in testing out assumptions is that you lay out the hypothesis, you design a metric which tells you whether your hypothesis succeeds or fails, and you design a threshold which gives you some kind of a breaking point where you say, okay, the hypothesis succeeds or fails at this point. Flesh out these, at least to figure out at least one hypothesis that works for one side and a corresponding one that works for the other side. That if it still creates network effects between the two, if it's still an interaction that both want to participate in, potentially it could be a platform. Potentially, if it's a set of closed interactions, it could just continue to be a physical interaction the way it is with a new design of the data that is being exchanged. So the platform may not be the only answer in this case. What's important is ensuring that the interaction solves the pain point while incentivizing the other side as well.